This is the EVP Podcast. All right, welcome back to episode 60 of the EVP Podcast. What's up, everybody? I'm Ghosty.
I'm Beaker.
And I'm DVO.
And we're back for another episode, everybody.
A spooky episode.
They're always spooky.
You know, I'm a little scared.
I'm fascinated.
All right.
I'm scared and fascinated.
Awesome. We're never going to let that one go.
No, it's going to go forever.
Not till Discovery Plus picks us up.
Anybody check the emails?
I do.
Nothing yet?
Nope.
Nah, son of a bitch. All right.
We'll keep checking.
All right, this
We got a lot of
episode-
views on TikTok.
That's right,
I mean,
everybody.
a lot for us. We're getting like 700 views per episode or per video.
That's pretty good for really not making money.
Nope. Don't do a whole lot.
All right. Well, this episode, we are going to talk about the Zanetti ghost train.
Ooh, spooky.
And I just barely heard about this and was like, we got to make this an episode.
Well, I can't believe somebody murdered this train, and I understand why it came back to life and started haunting
And why
people,
it's a
but-
ghost train.
Yeah, but
It's a murderous ghost train.
not quite.
Well,
All right, fine.
this train is a train that just vanished in the thin air and nobody knows what happened.
Why is it always thin air? Can't it be fat air?
It vanished in
is
thick
everyone,
air.
Why is everyone always discriminating against the big people?
Thick
big
air.
air.
Thick
The
air.
thick air.
It was thick that night.
But there was some thick air and
There was some
cloudiness.
foggy.
Yes. Well, let's
Foggy
talk
stuff.
about what this train was and when this all happened. This all went down on June 14th in 1911.
That was a good year. That was a good year.
And this
Yeah,
was
I
a
remember that
train.
year fondly.
This was leaving Rome. And this is an Italian company called Zanetti. And what they were doing was they had this promotional train ride, whatever was going on. And they brought on some passengers for this free ride. So they gave passengers some free rides on this train, along with so there was 100 people they gave a ride to, along with 6 staff members. And let's see, on the train, they ended up having like free food, free drinks, and everything for everybody.
Gosh, I want to ride.
I know, right? This sounds amazing.
Sounds great.
I like Zanetti's.
Yeah.
This company sounds great.
Yeah.
So they enter, and the whole point of this train ride was to see all the beautiful places of Italy. So this train just left Rome and was going through the Lombard Tunnel. And this was a half-mile stretch that went through a mountain. And, I mean, there's just one way in, one way out. That's it. Well, it went in and never came out.
And how long was the tunnel, you said?
Half mile?
Half mile.
One train enters, no train leaves.
The ghost train.
It's the
So,
mountain won this round.
Out of these 106 passengers on this, 2 of them jumped.
Now, why would they jump? That's the part that kind of baffled me.
They were high.
Then that would answer that. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking there's a moving train heading towards a tunnel. Now you want to jump out?
Well, here's the thing. So the train, apparently when it was going into the tunnel, wasn't going that fast at the time.
Okay.
So there was 2 guys, like the train, I guess.
You always got to
started-
ease it in.
You gotta ease, yeah. Dude, you gotta take your time with these things. Right?
Okay.
You can't just go in.
Go
You
You're right. You're right. Don't just go plowing
Go
in
full
there.
throttle right at it.
You're right.
gotta
I'm
make sure it's
sorry.
enjoyable for everybody.
Okay, you're right.
This is an experience. Everybody's
Yeah.
taking it in.
Innuendos galore. So yeah, they were easing the train in the tunnel, and I guess they weren't easing it in and slow enough because the train started to fill up with this like white cloud and like thick mist, and
Okay.
it freaked out 2 guys, so they jumped from the train.
So that was
Apparently-
bellowing into the train cars?
I believe so. Yeah.
Apparently, they said everybody on the train was starting to freak out.
Okay.
And everybody was scared. Everybody was overcame with this being freaked out. And yeah, they were like entering into the smoke.
Okay.
And so these guys, I guess, just decided, all right, let's jump ship, abort.
A vicious white mist is what they said it was.
Vicious.
A vicious white mist was engulfing the train slowly. Yeah, like I said, they panicked and they thought something bad was going to happen, so they bailed. They jumped out right before it entered the tunnel. They did, I guess, go under psychiatric oh my gosh.
Psychiatric care.
Thank you. Evaluation. And I guess they had some anxiety problems for quite some time after they came forward with this. This was a couple days after the train disappeared. They're like, "Yeah, we were the guys. We were on the train." And I guess later on they went back to being normal. I'm not sure how long it took them.
Okay.
But they were a little messed up from this experience.
From guilt, maybe, or maybe from just like, oh, damn, we could have been one of us. I can see that.
Well, so yeah, people ended up like walking through the tunnel trying to find them too, and nobody saw any traces. There was no reasons why.
Like no trace of like a accident or crash.
Yeah, there was no crash. There was no, train that derailed. There was nothing.
That's
Empty
weird.
tunnel.
That is weird.
It didn't finish.
No, nobody finished. But, with just during all this, there were things that turned out to be like where this could have gone through time traveled, because there was what was it? Somewhere in Mexico.
They went through the quantum realm.
You went to the quantum realm.
Ant-Man and the Wasp showed up and took them to the quantum realm.
So one story I found that was pretty interesting when I was researching this was one of the relatives of the missing people from the train, one of the missing passengers. They were kind of doing some investigating, and they pulled into some archives of 1926. So this would be approximately 15 years after the train vanished. So again, 106 people were on the train. 2 jumped off, so 104 passengers are mysteriously missing from Rome, Italy. Well, and 15 years later, 1926, 104 people were admitted to the hospital in Mexico. No, I take that back.
So 1926 is when they found the records.
When they found the records, but in 1845.
Right, they went back into time.
Yes, yeah. So 1845, so that would be 60-something years before the missing train. 104 people were admitted to a Mexican hospital. Every single patient seemed mentally deranged. Nobody knew who these 104 people were, where they came from, but all 104 did come from Italian origin, and they said they were from Rome, Italy, even though they were speaking in Spanish. And one of the hospital staff, again, this was 1845, one of the hospital staff found a tobacco box with the year 1907 written on it.
Which would be pretty wild, right?
Which is pretty wild. In 1845, you see a cigar box or a tobacco box, 1907. 104 people just kind of show up to a hospital. That's a...
Right, and if they're saying they were from 1911...
I don't know. I didn't read anything that said that they claimed to be from 1911. I don't know if you
But
saw
nothing
something.
was really documented about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, because it doesn't say what happened to them since then. Like,
Exactly.
all 104 of these patients just, did they time travel there and then that's where they get,
Yeah.
like, is that where the time traveling stopped?
Right.
Yeah, they got admitted to an insane
Yeah.
asylum.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So it does keep popping up throughout time, because it does show up again in 1955.
They did mention that they came from Rome on a train.
Yes.
Yeah, they did
So
talk
they
about
did
being
mention
from
that.
Rome.
They said they're from Rome, even though they were speaking in Spanish at the hospital. They all said they were Italian,
That's a mystery.
but they all were like a little mentally
You
deranged.
probably already said that, and I zoned out. That's my bad. Sorry.
So in 1955, it's spotted again near Crimea, Ukraine. But back then, I think that was part of the Soviet Union.
Yes.
So it shows up there, and it was coming through an unused track. So a track that hasn't even been used anymore is where this thing is coming down.
Interesting.
And apparently, it just went down there and it wasn't seen again. 1991, or let's see. Yeah, 1991, the train was seen again in Ukraine. Okay, so it was seen again in Ukraine, in Crimea, and then in 1955 in Crimea, 1991 in Ukraine. But yeah, I think those were the only times that it showed up that I had seen.
Okay. Interesting. I'm actually trying to look to see if there's any, like, what's the Zanetti train company doing today? I can't find anything.
In 1994, near Pennsylvania Station, around 2300 hours, the train apparently shows up every night.
Oh, interesting.
Every night?
I don't know if it's every night. I'm just kind of... It's repeated mention of the train being spotted in that time frame, around 2300, so 11 o'clock at night. I guess a young man saw an old train passing next to him having Latin letters in yellow. Another witness saw the conductor in a brown uniform and a bandage cap with collars fastened to his shirt. The train was not native, and its appearance was never announced. So that's another sighting of the train in 1994, but that's the most recent, from what I can tell.
Well, the interesting part about some of these places, like Mexico, for example, to get to Mexico from Italy,
You can't use a train.
can't use a train.
Not with that attitude.
True.
They got those underwater tunnels.
It's an amphibian train.
Yeah,
There's a little thing called the Atlantic Ocean that runs
underwater tunnel.
in between them.
Bermuda Triangle.
Oh.
Another thing about the tunnel, during the First World War, it ended up getting bombed and collapsed.
It was destroyed
that tunnel,
in an air raid.
yeah, so that tunnel isn't even used anymore. Which I don't know why nobody digs it out and tries to
Because
time
you
travel.
disappear. Why
Bring
would
a
you need
camera.
it? Why would you want to go to that tunnel when you could just go to the Bermuda Triangle to time travel?
That's underwater. I don't know how to scuba
Nuh-uh.
dive.
Bruce Gernon wasn't underwater when he time traveled. We
Oh
talked
yeah,
about
he was
this.
up in the air.
He was in the air.
Yeah, but he only went like half an hour.
It's still time travel.
I want to go back into time.
Why? So you can step on a bug and change the future?
I'll pull a Biff
Maybe.
move and it'll be like, so this is who you need to bet on for the World Series
I would
and
bet.
Super Bowls.
I wouldn't do nothing. I wouldn't change nothing. I would just accumulate money and have fun. I'd let things happen like they're supposed to and just make bets.
That's doing something. That's
Just
changing the
accumulating
future.
money for myself.
That's
is all.
changing the future. It's breaking the rules. It's
See what
violating the
happens.
Prime
See what
Directive.
happens. I'll totally pull a Biff move.
I would.
Well, I mean, if time travel were possible, you would have already done that.
Exactly. Many people would have done that.
Speaking of that, I was just watching the Atom Project on Netflix.
That's a good movie.
That is
Hey,
pretty
it's
cool.
Pretty
I like that
interesting. We're about halfway through it, but it's pretty interesting.
Oh, wait till the end.
I know.
Then it will be over.
What do you guys think
it's
about
actually
this
really good.
train? Do you guys have theories of what's going on with this?
I find it suspect that I can't find the Zanetti train company today.
Well, because it doesn't exist.
Say what?
It never existed. There's no records. You can't find anything on it. I listened to several podcasts and watched several videos on YouTube. There is zero records of the Zanetti train company ever existing in Italy.
So you're saying that this story is all fabricated?
100%, in my opinion, this is false. It's an urban legend. It's not real.
So it's just an urban legend. Like it just came from like where like I'm just trying to think, why would somebody start this story?
Why does anyone start an urban legend? Because they can. They're bored. Maybe they
Because
wrote a
there's
short
some-
story. Maybe it
there's
was a
some
contest.
truth behind it. So
I
they just
mean,
kind of
Slender Man, there was zero truth behind him when he was created. It was a Photoshop contest. Maybe it was someone was writing a short story for a class or something and came up with this. I have no idea. But, I mean, you can do a Google search. You can look it up. The one podcast I listened to, the lady said she searched for it, and the closest thing you could find to a Zanetti company was a travel agency company in Italy, and they've only been around for like 50 years.
I wonder what that translates to, or if it's just a name, like a someone's surname or something. So, Ghosty, I mean, this was your topic this week. Is there a reason why? Did something you come across, or what made you think of this topic?
It was just some story that I came across, and it was
Okay.
just like going across my feed, and so I started watching it. And
Like on YouTube or on a show?
Snapchat. That's where I play around. I'm a damn
Okay,
toddler.
okay.
I told you
He's
this.
one of those old people that still uses Snapchat.
Okay.
So, anyways, I start watching this, and I hear all about this disappearing train, and then it showing up throughout time in different periods of time, and I was like, we have to look more into this. We have to deep dive into this and
Okay.
figure out what is this.
So from your research now, and Beaker mentioning how it's possibly just a whole made up story. What do you think after doing research?
I think it's pretty. I mean, for that many people to claim there was that many people to go missing, I mean, there wasn't more news about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there isn't a lot, like huge stories. There isn't huge articles, and there isn't much news about this Zanetti company. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it could. It's a really cool story.
Yeah.
It is a really cool story.
It is a cool story how 104 people are gone missing.
But I mean, it's not even on Wikipedia, so I mean, we all know if it's not on Wikipedia, it never happened.
There's no history behind it if it wasn't on Wikipedia.
I mean, if you search for Zanetti Train Company, you're gonna get this story, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's what I was doing right now. It's like, I just thought of what's this company up to today, and I couldn't find anything on this company.
So yeah, I'm thinking I'm leaning more towards fabrication.
I was very interested in this story. I'm like, to fabricate or make up 104 people missing. I mean, that's pretty wild, because you think somebody's gonna try to find their family member or friend or whatever.
Right, and these weren't just like random people either. These were like well-to-do, like rich people. It was a train, like it was like an inaugurational thing. Like it was like the first voyage of the train, I believe, and they invited all these rich people on to come experience the trip
For free.
free.
Free drinks,
And so, like,
food.
I mean, I don't know how it was in 1911 Italy, but I know if a bunch of people, rich-ass people here in the U.S. went missing, you'd hear all about it.
Yeah, true. The one thing that kind of throws me off about this whole thing is right before they get into a tunnel, two guys jump off. That's the part that really throws me for the loop. Like, why would two guys... Okay, all right, I get there's some smoke building up in the train. That makes you jump off or just go out to outside? Like,
So
put a window down?
there could have been some weird thing. I don't even know if that whole, like, the 104 people getting admitted to an insane asylum even really did happen, because
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like there was any records of anything.
Yeah, and then what happened to them? And there was as if they were released.
So maybe
or
it sounds
if
like
they
somebody was
died, or-
somebody was fabricating the story, and they're talking about, okay, there was this many people on the train, and then they're going on, and then they go, and then 104 people showed up. I thought you said there was 106. Oh yeah, there is, because two people jumped off right before it went into the tunnel.
I mean, it could have been like kind of like Slender Man, where the guy did the art contest, and then people just ran with the story, making shit up as they went. It could have been something like that, where someone's like, yes, this train, 106 people disappeared, and someone else, like you said, they're like, oh yeah, and they found him in Mexico 100 years before it happened.
But there was only 104. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, two of them jumped off.
And I'm also right now just trying to find any information about 104 people, just pulling up to a hospital in Mexico. And besides this story pulling up, I'm not really seeing anything else.
Well, and the other thing is, like, in Mexico, the cigar box, the Dunhill cigar box that was dated 1907, apparently that's still on display in a museum in Mexico. But the thing is like, how do we know it was actually placed in a museum in 1845? How do we know it's not like someone... How do we even know if it's in a museum in the first place? Because when I searched for Dunhill cigar box in Mexico, even typing those exact words, Dunhill cigar box Mexico, all I got was like a bunch of people on eBay and Etsy and just like websites selling. These cigar boxes, but nothing about one ever being in Mexico or in a museum in Mexico. And if it was there, who's to say 1907 wasn't like the address of the company? You know what I mean? I don't know the address of the company, but it's possible that, or maybe they were established. Maybe it was, they were established in 1907 or whatever. But I don't know a lot of companies that put the date that the cigar box or their product was made, especially not back then. I know now because we have the Best Buy dates on everything. But do you think they were stamping the years they made cigars back then? I don't know. You smoke cigars, so do they come with dates on your cigar boxes?
Not that I remember. Like, just dates on them. I don't remember that. So, and every company does different things to theirs to make theirs different, or... every cigar company. They do different like emblems, or they do numbers. Sometimes it's the year it's established or something relevant.
So we call bullshit to this.
I mean, I romanticize about this story being true. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, a little scary.
So I'm gonna stick with time travel, time travel, and travel the globe.
Yeah.
This is one magic train.
I like that idea.
Who's driving this magic train?
Mrs. Frizzle. I had to look that up. She's the driver of the magic school bus from the cartoons in the 90s. Miss Frizzle was the conductor of this ghost train.
I like
It
that
had to
idea.
have been. It had to have been. Yeah, so glad we solved it.
Yes.
Another case solved by EVP.
Oh,
That's what we do.
We obviously didn't solve it like the people on YouTube that solved it.
How do they solve it?
Oh, it had nothing to do with this train, even though it was titled "They Solved the Disappearance of the Train."
What do they do?
They were standing in the woods, shining lights at each other.
And they noticed that as a light hits, like for example, tree lines, like trees, it expands the light out. So it didn't
So
make a lot
that
of
solved.
sense.
That probably solved a lot of other things
didn't
too.
solve shit, but
Yeah, it was.
I just 15 minutes of fame on YouTube, I guess.
Well, I'm glad this one's solved.
You're welcome, everybody.
I'm glad we got that. Got it. Like I found it. It got me excited. I was fascinated. I was
I was
scared.
still scared.
And now
Time
it's
travel.
solved, and I
Yes.
feel relieved.
Can't do that time travel. I don't.
It was a roller coaster of emotions for me.
I'd have to have my Dramamine to do that time travel.
Yeah, it was
my
a
motion
very
sickness.
interesting story.
It was, and it would be cool if it was true, or if there was more.
If there was more behind it.
If there was more behind
Yeah.
this.
Everybody's
And if it was more believable, like the Mexico story, I'm sorry, the other, it's showing up in Russia and Ukraine, that shit kind of makes sense. The Mexico
Yeah.
story for me kind of makes it not believable. I think throwing that in there is a little too far fetched. I think if they just stuck to the other parts of Europe, the time travel there, that to me, it'd be more believable.
Yeah. Or if Mexico kept better records.
And Italy, because there's no records of the
Yeah,
train.
God.
None of the rail companies have records of this train. There's no news reports of any kind on its disappearance. Like I said, you'd think if 104 or 100 rich people disappeared, it would be all over the news.
Yes, it would.
100 poor people, no one cares. And I'm not saying that to be rude. It's kind of true.
No.
Seriously, if a train of 100 homeless people disappeared, you really wouldn't hear about it. And that's not that they're any less important, but that's just how society works.
It's true.
It's called human trafficking. It happens every day.
Sure does. There was a plane, and we could probably talk about it on another episode, because during the research for this, I know there was a plane that disappeared for 30 years, and then they found it with all the skeletons on it, or something like that.
Interesting.
We're not going to talk
Interesting.
that much about it on this episode because I haven't done a whole lot of research on it, but possible future topic.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm trying to drag it out because we're only at 25 minutes.
Oh, it's okay. We can call this. You guys ready?
Almost.
All right.
Before we call it, check us out on the social medias, evp.pod on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, if you want to contact us directly through email, it's evp.pod@gmail.com. Check us out on TikTok, same thing, evp.pod. Make sure you like and subscribe and tell your friends. If you can, give us a 5-star review. And if you actually leave a comment, we'll read it badly. If it's me, if you want it read correctly, it will be one of these guys.
All right, everybody. Go so don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
Choo choo. This is the EVP Podcast.